Salute, my Quick Classics friends. Welcome to another episode of Quick Classics. And today we'll be looking at a combination of things, the new certification in Mediterranean civilization, and some reasons to study classical civilization. If you like the content, please click a like, subscribe, and share. All of that helps. And let's do that deep dive today. Now, a lot of you will know from my promos that there are three new certifications through the Institute of Biblical Anthropology. One of them is Mediterranean Civilization, which deals with the so-called classical civilizations. Now, I've talked on a number of occasions, in fact, as early as last week, um, about the influence of classical civilization on not just the West in general, but in particular American society, American civilization, our institutions. And so there are two really good reasons just on the historical basis alone, because we're the heirs of a lot of that culture, ideation, and language, of course. The Greek and Latin languages have influenced English quite extensively, especially after the Norman conquest in 1066. But I wanted to impart a little bit more information about the certification itself. But before I do that, there was another excellent reason to study classical civilization, because it forms part of the backdrop of the biblical narrative, the Greco-Roman world in particular. So if you're a student of the Bible, it's almost obligatory to have some kind of general knowledge about the classical world, the Greco-Roman world in particular, um, of the early church age. Um, so, what would you study in this new certification? Well, um, I begin with the Aegean civilizations, and these were really what I used to tell my students. These were the Greeks before the Greeks. The earliest of them emerging in the early to mid third millennium BC, the Minoans. These were the occupants of Crete, and so much of their beliefs became the basis for later Greek religion and Greek mythology. In fact, many people point to Crete and Minoan civilization as um, the source, the wellspring for um, Greek mythology. Uh, you'll also be studying the civilization that kind of superseded, uh, uh, competed with for a while, the Minoans, and then eventually superseded them, the Mycenaeans. And these were the Proto Greeks that lived on the mainland in Greece, and were vying for control of the economy of the Aegean. And they become prominent in um, the early to mid second millennium BC, and particularly after the explosion on the island of Thera, which is modern Santorini, which was a huge, not just natural disaster, but it was a cultural and economic upheaval in the Eastern Mediterranean. Um, and then we'll cover the so-called Age of Heroes that deals with this conflict to control the economy of the Aegean, because there was a lot of money to be made. In this case, between the coalition of mainland Greeks, who were Mycenaeans, and people in western Turkey, the Trojans. Yes, there was a real Trojan War. There's both archaeological and historical evidence to prove this beyond Homer's epic, or I should say epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey. And of course, the later periods of Greek civilization, the archaic, or rather the Dark Age that follows the Trojan War, from about 1100 to 800 BC, and then uh, the archaic and classical Greek civilization that we'll all be more familiar with, um, the toga-wearing, democratizing, philosophizing Greeks, as it were. Um, and then we'll take a look at the Roman civilization uh, as it begins as a monarchy during the 8th century BC, and eventually becomes a republic in the 6th century BC, and goes through quite a bit of tumult in the development of the Senate, finally getting to the point where so much of Roman government, religion, culture becomes so centralized that you have a power struggle by the time you get to the late Republic period with the triumvirates, um, and then the transition into empire, which is divided into two periods: the Principate, the first half, and the Dominate, the second half. Um, and of course, we'll be looking at the religion and mythology of all these different societies, and the pertinence that each of these societies had on the biblical narrative. So there's certainly the historical, cultural, humanities approach to all this, and then there's the biblical study stuff that you're getting as well. Now this week, all of those certifications are on sale for $125 each. If you're interested, again, in studying the Greek language, I offer a Rudiments of New Testament Greek, which would familiarize you with Greek as it existed during the New Testament period, and for a few centuries even before that. This would have been the Koine, the common tongue, and gives you an insight into classical Greek as well. So that's $225 for the two module set, and will familiarize you with the basic elements of Greek. So there's some really good opportunities to study classical civilization along several different axes. And for the next few days, those certifications are on sale for $125 each. You can email me at professorburton@yahoo.com, and I'll get you set up really quickly. But I hope this has been helpful. I have given some videos and lectures on this before, which you can look at for a little more detail. And with that, I will bid you adieu and talk to you later.